When it comes to PlatinumLED's horizontal red light therapy stands, you have two options: the $329 non-motorized stand or the $769 motorized stand. Which one is better? What are the key differences? And should you spend extra money on the motorized stand? I'm gonna help you find out. Hey, so real quick, I am affiliated with PlatinumLED. That means if you use any of the discount codes or links below, you save a little bit, I get a little bit of a commission. Okay, so you may have actually seen my dedicated reviews on both of these stands. However, I've never done a direct comparison, so that's what I'm gonna do today. Really, when it comes to buying a stand, you need to think what you wanna do, what you wanna achieve from your stand. How are you gonna use it? How often are you gonna use it? How much space do you have in your room or your office, wherever it's going? Of course, budget needs to be factored in, but we'll talk about this later because this is an important thing. And then you also have to think about what you're gonna do with the panels in the future. Are you going to slowly get more and more panels and build out a massive 4-panel array? Or are you just gonna settle with 1 panel? So you need to keep all of these things in mind. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and compare the key features of these two stands. And I'm also gonna explain how the differences between these panels are gonna apply to your scenario. So first up, let me turn the panels off because they are quite loud and it's putting out a bit of heat. The first key difference here is what these stands can hold. Beside me, I have the non-motorized stand with one Biomax 900 hanging from it. But this particular stand can hold up to 2 Biomax 900s. That's at least what it says on the description. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if you could get 3, maybe 4, maybe not. Maybe you don't want to risk it. So look, let's just stick with 2 Biomax 900s. Of course, you could do 2 Biomax 600s, or you could do a 900 and a 450, but let's just say it caps out at 2 panels. With the motorized stand, it can hold up to 4 Biomax 900s or 4 panels. At the moment, I have 2 Biomax 900s side by side. So you could add another 2 on to do a full 6 foot tall, 2 foot wide array. And now that's the setup I had in my dedicated review of this stand. So you may want to go check that out. It is a really, really nice setup. So straight away, how many panels do you have? How many panels are you ordering? If you have 4, then you're going to be in the motorized stand camp. If you only have 1 or 2, then yeah, you can still consider this. However, if you plan on getting more panels later on, then you may want to future-proof yourself and go with the motorized stand. Personally, I like a large panel setup. I have 4 Biomax 900s hanging on a wall. I know the treatment area is shoulder to shoulder, head to toe. So if you do want a red light therapy session while lying down and know that your whole body is going to be covered, probably going to need 4 panels, in which case, this stand is going to be the winner. Now, I want to talk about how you can use these stands in various setups and also how hard or easy it is to adjust them. So first up, we're going to look at horizontal, which is what I have here. The panels are on a ever so slightly lean. That was just so it looked a little bit better on camera, but you can adjust them to being perfectly flat or even upright, which we'll talk about soon. So from a horizontal use point on the non-motorized stand, I mean, it's pretty basic. You set it up, you get the heights how you want it, you screw everything in nice and tight, and away you go. Now, if you want to adjust it, here's where it gets a bit tricky. Pretty much you need 2 people. To be honest, you kind of need 2 people just building this. You can do it 1, but pretty much you're going to need 2 people. You need someone to take the weight of this panel, then you're going to have to adjust the screws on the back and raise or lower it. It is annoying, especially if you're on your own, you don't have someone to help you. But it is possible. However, what you really want to do is get it set up in the height you want it and leave it there. Now with the motorized stand, again, getting it set up in the horizontal position is quite simple. You just follow the instructions, screw everything together, screw these big screws in up top, away you go. As for adjusting it, well, it actually comes with a remote or there's buttons on the unit because remember, this is motorized. So I can simply press a button and as you can see, you can adjust the height. Now, this is where earlier I said budget is important because budget is always important. You can't buy something that's totally out of your budget. However, this feature alone, I personally think is worth stretching your budget. It's worth putting a couple $100 on the credit card or taking a loan from your partner, whatever it may be, because you think about this from practical terms. Let's say you go with the non-motorized stand, you set it up, you lie on your bed and you realize, oh, it's just too far away. It's 12 inches, you want it at 6 inches away. It's a lot of work to adjust it. And if you adjust it too low, again, it's just very annoying. The other thing is how many people are going to use these panels. If it's just you, you can find your height. If it's someone else and they got a big belly or they're a little bit claustrophobic, they may not want it right above them. And that's where this is so useful. Not only is it motorized, so you can simply adjust it, but with this remote, you can be lying on the bed or on the table or on the bench and just hit a button and stop it when you're ready, or when you're ready for it to stop. Of course, you can go really, really high as well. So that gives you options if you want to treat above your head, or it just gives you so many more options. Okay, so what about vertical use? Now, these are sold as horizontal stands, and PlatinumLED actually sell vertical stands. They've got a floor mounted stand, they've got wall hanging brackets, and they do have a larger full panel vertical stand as well. In fact, be sure to subscribe because I'm going to do a big comparison between all of these stands. So you're going to want to see that if vertical use is in consideration. Now, the neat thing is these stands can be set up in a vertical fashion. It's not really designed for it, but you can do it. It is a little bit tricky to do though. You have to loosen some screws off on the back, take the weight, spin it all around, and then tighten it up really, really, really tight, because again, it's not really designed to be used this way. So there we go. You now have a vertical stand. The same can be done with the motorized stand. And there we go. You now have a vertical setup. Now, one thing to note, you'll notice that this isn't quite balanced. It's not quite flat. It's just the way it's built. Remember, this is designed for horizontal use, but as you can see, you can use it in a vertical setup. The cool thing is now with Platinum supplied remotes, I can raise it up, I can start it and stop it, and you can easily see how you can get another two Biomax 900s underneath, and you'll have your full head to toe, shoulder to shoulder coverage in a motorized portable stand. Pretty cool. Now, I just showed you how easy it is to adjust the height on the motorized stand. If you want to adjust the height on the non-motorized stand, again, you're going to need someone to help take the weight. You're going to have to adjust all the screws. You're going to lift it up. You've really only got 3 setting heights, so you just have to make do with it. And once it's in place there, you can't really adjust it. Now, I should say with the heights, if let's say you can't get it exactly perfect and it's like an inch too high or an inch too low, you can come around the back and adjust where these brackets are attached, and that could shift the height an inch or two as well. Hey, so if you're enjoying this, can you just go down, hit the like button? To be honest, it helps me help you guys. So I do appreciate it, and be sure to subscribe. I do a lot of reviews, including reviews on stands, panels, and just all things red light therapy. All right, now we're gonna talk about portability, storage, and build time. I'm gonna start with build time. Big reason why it's taken me so long to do this video is because I had these stands boxed up, and I really dislike building them. If you've seen my dedicated reviews on these stands, I'll tell you how it is a bit of a process. Building this one here nearly took me about 2 hours. That is also because I made some mistakes and I was doing it on my own. I highly recommend building these with 2 people. Building the non-motorized stand is about half an hour, maybe a little bit more. It's a lot easier. Of course though, once they're set up, then it's not an issue. As for portability, well, both of these stands are on wheels, so you can very easily move them around, which is great. If you have a low bed and you're worried about getting it underneath the bed for body coverage, then the non-motorized stand is actually lower to the ground than the motorized stand. The full specs are over at the PlatinumLED website. Okay, now what about storage? Well, again, they're both on wheels, so you can roll them around. And as we've seen, you can flip them to horizontal or vertical. So you could have it set up in a horizontal position. When you're finished, roll it up to vertical, push it into the corner, and it's not going to take up as much space. It is a bit fiddly though, changing it from horizontal to vertical. Remember, it's not designed to be a vertical stand. So in all honesty, it's not something I'd want to do every day. Change it back and forth. You're soon going to get sick of it, and you'll probably get a sore grip because some of those screws get pretty tight with all the weight on them, but it is an option. And of course, the motorized stand is going to be a lot more suitable for those who are tight on space because you can drop the whole thing down to take up less space. Okay, so now in summary, let's just rehash the price. $329 US, $760 odd. It's more than double the price. Is it worth it? Well, let's talk about why it's better than the non-motorized stand. Firstly, it's got a motor. It's so easy to adjust up and down. You got the remote control. You can do so much more with it without even having to move. You can literally be lying on the bed and adjust the height. It's great. Secondly, it holds more panels. Really, you need to think about how you're going to use it. Are you going to get more panels? Do you want a full body setup? Then in which case, you go with the motorized stand. To be honest, I'd say most people should go with the motorized stand. More options, easier to use. Yes, it takes a little bit more time to set up. Yes, it is going to be more expensive. But if you're using this a couple times a week for 5-10 years, you're going to thank yourself later on for spending the money on that convenience factor. And hey, I've heard a lot of people say they only want one panel or maybe 2 panels, and then a year later they say, you know what, I want some more. At least you've future-proofed yourself here with the motorized stand. Now, if you have a very particular setup, for instance, you just want one panel and you want to be able to wheel it off the wall into the middle of the room, or I don't know, whatever setup you have, and you know, like, this is all you need, then sure, save the money and get the single one. But for most people though, I'm gonna say spend the money and get the motorized stand. Now, up here, you can see my full review of this stand. Go check it out. I think it will help you make even a more informed decision. Otherwise, leave any questions below.